didn't hear them respond, Nathan.
Because he muted their mics. Oh, buddy. Okay.
You know, I'm sure by the time we figure out this whole online thing, it'll be time to meet in person again.
Yeah, looking forward to it, actually.
We're live now.
Okay, we'll call this council meeting to order at 6 p.m. I need a motion for the adoption of the minutes.
Resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting of council held at City Hall on May 11th, 2020 be adopted as circulated.
Moved by Councillor Espy and seconded by Councillor Draycott. All those in favor? And that's carried. We have no delegations this evening. We do have a number of public hearings. We'll open the public hearing for conditional use PC 2620. This is for the Manitoba Métis Federation at 716 and 718 Willow Bay. Is there anyone here to speak to the hearing?
Let's unmute their mic.
Oh, hello. My name is Brendan Butler, and I'm here to represent the Manitoba Métis Federation.
Welcome, Brendan.
Thank you.
Brendan, the floor is yours. We're listening, and council also has the presentation in front of them. If you want to go ahead, and then I'll open up for council members to ask you questions after the presentation.
Okay, for sure. So me and Janet work in the housing department, and the MMF's directive is to build affordable housing all throughout Manitoba. We have about, I believe, 1,000 Métis citizens that live in Portage, and so we would like to build 2 duplexes for senior citizens, Métis citizens, and 1 triplex for Métis family housing. We would like to do that all on Willow Bay there, and so to do that, we're going to need the variances and conditional use orders.
Okay. Brendan, do you want to answer questions from council if there are any, or is there more to the presentation?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't realize I was going to be giving a presentation here. I don't think there's much more to say. If there's any questions or anything, I'd feel free to answer them.
Okay, thank you, Brendan. Any questions from members of council? Okay. I don't see any questions, Brendan. I need to close the public hearing. Councillor Meyer, your mic's not on.
Can I ask a question? Sorry, before that? Sorry.
Sorry, Councillor Knox, did you have a question?
Yeah, I did. Sorry. Hi, Brendan. Councillor Knox here. I was just curious, and with this type of housing, does the Métis Federation have staff to do, say, yard keeping and grounds maintenance, especially when these are seniors housing?
Yes, absolutely. We have incorporated that in our operating cost analysis. So we looked at what the revenue would be generated by the houses, and we would retain contracted lawn care and snow care to keep up the houses as long as, throughout the lifetime of the houses.
Thank you.
Okay, no problem.
Were there further questions before we close the public hearing from council? Okay, seeing none, need a motion to close the public hearing.
Thank you, Your Worship. Be it resolved, and I so move that the public hearing for conditional use PC 2620 for the Manitoba Métis Federation now be closed.
Moved by Councillor Meyer and seconded by Councillor Buds. All those in favor? And that's carried.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship. And in front of you, Council, is a request for a conditional use for the Manitoba Métis Federation for 716 and 718 Willow Bay, known as lots 41, 42, Block 1, Plan 1741. So the issue, as you heard Mr. Brendan talk about, is to allow the duplexes to be built in an R3 residential multifamily zone. So as always, our alternatives are, of course, to approve the conditional use application as presented, to approve it with conditions, or to deny the conditional use application. So the background that you have in front of you is the Manitoba Métis Federation has applied for conditional use to allow duplexes to be built in an R3 residential multifamily zone. They wish to build one duplex on each of the listed properties for 2 duplexes in total. As past reference, we have approved a similar request, which was PC 6413, and allowed for a single family dwelling. The minutes are there for your reference, and that was as well in an R3 residential multiple family home. The application was circulated to the various city departments. There were no concerns. Public notices have been sent to all property owners with a 100-meter radius, and there have been no objections. So with that said, and it's the recommendation of this committee that I so move that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie approve the conditional use application of the Manitoba Métis Federation to allow duplexes to be built in an R3 residential multiple family zone at the property 716 and 718 Willow Bay, which is legally described as lots 41, 42, Block 1, Plan 1741 in the parish of Portage la Prairie.
Moved by Councillor Meyer and seconded by Councillor Buds. Any questions or comments on the motion? All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried.
Okay, and second, Council, of course, was dependent on the first one as a variation order. Oh, sorry, Your Worship, I will let you take on the public hearing.
You're raring to go, Councillor Meyer. We'll open the public hearing for variation order PC 2720. This is for the Manitoba Métis Federation, 716 and 718 Willow Bay. Is there anyone here to speak to the hearing? Okay. Need a motion to close.
I so move and be it resolved that the public hearing for variation PC 2720 for the Manitoba Métis Federation now be closed.
Moved by Councillor Meyer and seconded by Councillor Buds. All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried.
Okay, and this one, of course, Council falls on the heels of the previous motion, the conditional use. This is a request for variation. Now that the previous one has been approved, it's also for 716 and 718 Willow Bay, lots 41, 42, Block 1, Plan 1741 in the Portage, or the parish of Portage la Prairie. So right now they're asking to reduce the requirement for the east side yard of 4.6 meters when there's no attached garage or carport, that to be reduced to 1.5 meters. And at the required west side yard of 4.6 meters when no attached garage or carport to be reduced as well to 1.5 meters, and those are for the 2 listed lots. Some of the background, they've been applying for a variation order, as we just mentioned as well, for the 2 listed lots. They wish to build 1 duplex on each of the listed properties for a total of 2 duplexes in total. Just some past history, Council has approved similar requests in an R2 residential 2-family zone, including the following, and the minutes are there for your reference. Just to note that that duplex on number 1 did have a garage, and the duplex on number 2 also had a garage at that time. This building is in an R3 residential multiple family zone, and as usual, the application has been circulated to all city departments with no concerns. Public notices have been sent to all property owners within a 100-meter radius, and there had been no objections. So it's the administrative recommendation And I so move that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie approve the variation request of the Manitoba Métis Federation to vary the following. Required east side yard of 4.6 meters when there's no attached garage or carport to be reduced to 1.5 meters. And required west side yard of 4.6 meters when no attached garage or carport to be reduced to 1.5 meters. For the two listed lots of the properties known as 716 and 718 Willow Bay, which is legally described as lots 41, 42, Block 1, Plan 1741 in the parish of Portage la Prairie.
Moved by Councillor Meyer and seconded by Councillor Buds. Any questions or comments on the motion? All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried. You'll open the public hearing for variation order PC 2820, and this is for the Manitoba Métis Federation, again at 709 Willow Bay. Is there anyone here to speak to the hearing? Need a motion to close the public hearing?
Thank you, Your Worship. Be it resolved that the public hearing of variation order PC 2820, Manitoba Métis Federation, now be closed, and I so move.
Moved by Councillor Meyer and seconded by Councillor Buds. All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried.
Okay, Council, in front of you as well, you'll see for PC 2820 is a request for variation from the Manitoba Métis Federation for 709 Willow Bay. The issue is to vary the front yard requirement of 9.1 meters to be reduced down to 6.5 to allow for the construction of a triplex on the property. As always, we can approve the variation application or we can deny the variation application. So just some of the background, MMF is applying for a variation order for the front yard requirement, as we discussed, from 9.51 meters to be reduced to 6.5 meters. City Council has approved similar requests in R3 residential multiple family zone, including the following, and the minutes are all there for your reference. The building is in an R3 residential multiple family zone. The application has been circulated to various city departments and there have been no concerns. Public notices have been sent to all property owners within a 100-meter radius, and as well, there have been no objections. So it's the administrative recommendation, and I so move that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie approve the variation request of the Manitoba Métis Federation to vary the front yard requirement of 9.1 meters to be reduced to 6.5 meters of the property known as 709 Willow Bay, which is legally described as Lot 5, Block 4, Plan 1741 in the parish of Portage la Prairie.
Moved by Councillor Meyer and seconded by Councillor Buds. Any questions or comments on the motion? All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried. That concludes our public hearings for this evening, so we're going to move into committees. First up is Finance Legislative Property Committee. Councillor Buds, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a small item for the council's information, really. You did hear me in previous council meeting talk about some amendments to our tax sale bylaw that was required as it related to some of the issues surrounding COVID. We've now learned that there needs to be another change, and basically the provincial government has placed a stop order on all tax sale work until September the 21st, and as a result, tax service advised that a tax sale during 2020 will not be possible due to the time needed for this process. So basically, this is information that although we've already given first reading to our amended tax sale bylaw, we will not be not going forward with second and third reading of that bylaw. It is our future, it is the intent of management and for me to bring forward that there will be a little bit of a change. We'll have an annual resolution to be presented for council's approval to set each year's tax sale date. So that's going to be completed once we get a little bit more certainty on what the future holds for this process. So don't expect to see the second and third reading coming forward right away. That's all I had, unless there's some questions. Okay, hearing none, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Councillor Buds. City Planning and Economic Development Committee, Councillor Meyer.
Thank you, Your Worship. The City Planning and Economic Development. As I mentioned, we have
Go ahead,
nothing.
Councillor Meyer.
His mic's off now.
Okay, your mic's off right now. There, that's better. It's on.
Sorry, I got confused there. I heard something else different. Were you looking for a report from the City Planning and Economic Development Committee?
Yes, just checking
Right.
in.
Thank you, Your Worship. The City Planning and Economic Development Committee has nothing further to report.
Thank you, Councillor Meyer. Community Services Committee, Councillor Draycott, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Community Services Committee has nothing to report in council.
Thank you. Waterworks Committee, Councillor Wall. Councillor Wall, your mic's off. That's better. Go ahead, Councillor Wall. There, that's better.
Thank you, Your Worship. Waterworks Committee has nothing to report.
Thank you. Transportation Committee, Councillor Espy.
Thank you, Your Worship. The Transportation Committee has nothing to report.
Thank you. And Public Safety Committee, Councillor Knox, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Nothing from public safety this evening.
Thank you. We have no deferred business this evening. However, we have some items of new business. First up is the April 2020 building reports. And this is for information. And Councillor Meyer, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. And of course, Council, as usual, you're going to see the April 2020 building report, both for the City of Portage la Prairie and the rural. I would like just to draw your attention to the April 2020 building report combined, as we do look at this on a regional basis. So just so you're aware that permits actually are up, the numbers. We do know that the values are down as expected. The bulk of the permits for the industrial, of course, have been completed. And you'll see some of those still, of course, come through. Just for your information, single residential is up for permits, so that's a very positive sign with everything that's going on or we're going through. It shows that people do have confidence, of course, still in what's going on the economic side of Portage la Prairie. The industrial is down, as I mentioned, was expected. There is a significant increase in industrial repair permits, so it shows you that people are investing back into certain areas. And again, even though I point out that the numbers are down from where they were last year at this time, we still have over $40 million in permits, which I still feel is pretty significant based on everything that's happening at this point in time. And that's the combined total for the building permits, unless there's any questions. With that said, that's all I have to report, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Meyer. The next item of new business is the award of contract for the interactive water feature, and this is Community Services Committee. Councillor Draycott, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. So this evening we do have the award. The issue is to award the contract for design, supply, installation of the interactive water feature, 20 OPS 013. So the background on this is the Parks Committee has had a goal to install the interactive water feature at Simplot Central Park for several years. This park is located on 4th Avenue and 2nd Northwest. An RFP was sent out to 5 proponents that have experience in this type of work and also posted on the City of Portage la Prairie website. 3 proposals were received electronically. The proposals were rated with 70 points based on the proposal and 30 points based on price, for a total possible of 100 points. The highest rated bidder, PlayQuest, submitted a total price of $171,905.90, not including GST. This includes a $35,000 allowance for an art feature, as well as $9,000 for a concrete bench. As the $35,000 allowance included $10,000 for the bench, this allowance can then be reduced to $25,000, thereby reducing the cost to $161,000 $905.90. PlayQuest has an excellent understanding of the project and installed many spray parks and splash pads in Manitoba and Western Canada. The proposed design consists of 11.12 meters circular 2-color concrete spray areas with 20 sprays and 2 activators. It's surrounded by a 2.13 meter spray-free concrete area and a concrete bench. The proposal did not include utility service connections or landscaping. The additional costs of those items are estimated at $45,000. That would bring the total construction cost of the project to $206,905.90. Yearly operating costs for water, sewer, and staff time are estimated to be $10,500. This could be reduced approximately $2,200 if a storage tank is used, and the water can be used for watering public areas instead of going into the sewer system. The proposal was based on a direct-to-drain system, so the tank would be an additional cost. In addition, it is recommended that $2,000 per year is put into reserve to cover future capital costs for equipment replacement. Insurance is estimated at $1,000 a year. The total yearly operating and capital costs would be approximately $13,500 with the direct-to-drain system and $11,300 with a storage tank. The Parks Committee has been fundraising and currently have collected $146,327.98 for this project. In addition, a $25,000 donation from Simplot has been confirmed, and the funds will be available later in 2020. The Public Art Committee has also confirmed $25,000 contribution for a public art feature. The committee is continuing to fundraise and will be contacting local contractors to seek in-kind donations for landscaping where possible. The total of all expected contributions would be $206,327.98. The committee has also applied for the Building Sustainable Communities grant of $75,000, but this funding has not been confirmed at this time. Currently, the Parks Committee is expected to have sufficient funds to cover the construction of the project if the committee is successful in securing an in-kind landscaping donation. Further fundraising or grant funding confirmation is required to fund the operating costs of the facility. PlayQuest submitted a schedule with the anticipated award date of May 11th, so expected dates may be delayed by 2 weeks. The submitted schedule had a construction on the project starting July 7th, 2020, and a completion of August 6th, 2020. It is the administrative recommendation that the Council of City of Portage la Prairie award the contract for design, supply, and installation of the interactive water feature to PlayQuest Recreation for the contract price of $180,501.19, including all taxes.
Okay, moved by Councillor Draycott and seconded by Councillor Knox. Questions or comments on the motion? I don't see any questions or comments. Well, I have a comment. Oh, Councillor Espy, okay.
Well, I think it would be appropriate for me to make a comment. This has been a culmination of a lot of work on with a lot of people over many, many years. And I think everyone's pretty clear on where I stand, and I'm just happy to finally see this coming forward to council for a decision. And I hope that everyone supports this and we can move forward with development that we've been working on for so long.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Espy. Any other comments or questions? Councillor Draycott?
Thank you, Your Worship. I guess I would echo Councillor Espy's comments as well. I'd like to commend the committee for getting this far. This is actually a group of citizens that decided that they wanted to see something like this happen in our community. And they've been working since 2012 to accomplish this particular feat, but they've actually done a lot of other things in our community in the process as well. There's been lots of additions to parks, in terms of equipment and upgrades and benches and just things that have become better in our parks in the context of trying to get to this end goal. So I would like to say thank you to this very hardworking committee for having a vision. I hope that this vote just makes sense tonight and that we are able to move forward with this project. And that's, I guess, all I have to say about it.
Okay, any further questions or comments? Okay, well, as Councillor Draycott mentioned, and I think others mentioned, this idea first came up about 8 years ago. This has spanned 3 councils, and 8 years involved many, many people. And we've had 2 consistent proponents of this project on our council over the last several years, and that's, of course, Councillor Draycott and Councillor Espy. And there were a lot of challenges, a lot of obstacles to overcome, but really the Parks Committee and the members of council that worked so hard on this overcame those. And this is what we're seeing today, this coming to fruition, or very close to fruition. So all that hard work really did pay off. And I really do appreciate the time that administration and all of council has put into making this a reality today for the kids and the people of Portage la Prairie. I think this is a really big deal, and really pleased to see it moving ahead. So with that note, we'll put it to a vote. We have a motion, we have a seconder. All those in favor of the motion? And that's unanimous. Thank you. Next item, new business, is the award of disposal of lime sludge and waste residuals tender. And this, of course, is Waterworks Committee. Councillor Wall, please.
Before that, he has another.
Oh, sorry. The first item of new business for Councillor Wall is the WPCF upgrading status report.
Thank you, Your Worship. You had me worried there for a second.
I worry a lot of people.
Just to bring everybody up to date on the status of the water pollution control facility upgrading. Tasks undertaken in the past month regarding the Portage la Prairie water pollution control facility upgrading project include: first, preparation of the scope of work for the business advisor and issuing of the request for proposals, which closes June 3rd. Preparation of the scope of work for the communications advisor. The RFP will be issued late in May, so that's any day now. Preparation of the scope of work for the legal advisor, also to be issued late in May. Project status meeting with Manitoba's Sustainable Infrastructure Secretariat. The initial draft and review of the request for qualifications for potential proponents interested in bidding in the project. The RFQ is to be issued in August. Since this involves an on-site tour in an open house format, the schedule will depend on travel restrictions, or the format might have to be virtual. Discussion on technical aspects of the scope of the treatment components of the final contract. This will form part of the scope for the request for proposals. Discussion on the issues of higher relative risk for prospective proponents and potential mitigation measures. Preparation of an informational webinar for potential bid team members. The webinar would be held on May 21st. So has that been done? We've passed May 21st. The next several months will involve preparing the request for qualifications document for pre-selection of prospective bid teams and concurrently preparing the scope of work for the request for proposals for the main contract. And that concludes my report on the WPCF upgrades.
Any questions from council for Councillor Wall on the upgrades? Okay, thank you, Councillor Wall.
Next, Your Worship, is the award of a tender for disposal of lime sludge and waste residuals from the water plant. This is to do with tender number 20 OPS 0117 or 17 for the disposal of lime sludge and waste residuals for the city of Portage la Prairie water treatment plant. There were 5 bidders. The tender was posted on Merck's website and electronically posted on the city's webpage. 14 copies of the tender were sent out and 5 submissions received. Due to COVID-19, 4 copies were received electronically and 1 hard copy was hand delivered. Tender closed at 2 p.m. Tuesday, May 12, 2020. The tender has followed the procurement tender process that incorporates sustainability and best value bid. The rated criteria were set at 50 points for qualifications and experience, 10 points maximum for sustainability factor, 10 points maximum for past relationships with the city, and 30 points for pricing for 100 total points. As I said, there were 5 bids received. The work involves the loading, transportation, and final disposal of an estimated 33,000 tons of lime softening residuals and other water treatment residuals from the water treatment plant solid settling pond. The dry residual waste material is likely greater than 90% calcium carbonate with a small fraction of organic matter and a very small fraction of aluminum and iron coagulant compounds. The contractor is required to provide all equipment and personnel to load, transport, and dispose of the lime sludge and waste residuals, will ensure that the disposal of the lime sludge and waste residuals conforms to provincial or federal rules, regulations, and/or guidelines. The work must be completed by October 30th, 2020. The unit price bids were based on an estimated quantity of 33,000 tons of lime sludge. This quantity could vary and the overall cost could vary accordingly. The low bid with the GST removed is EF Moon Construction Limited at $732,270. Total project cost is within the budgeted amount for sludge removal for 2020, which is budgeted in the utility reserve. The recommendation is, and I so move, that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie award the contract for the disposal of lime sludge and waste residuals as specified in tender 20 OPS 017 to EF Moon Construction Limited for the tendered price of $768,883.50, including GST.
Moved by Councillor Wall and seconded by Councillor Draycott. Any questions or comments on the motion? All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried. And Councillor Wall, the next item of new business is also yours.
Yes, Your Worship. The next item is the award of the tender for the Industrial Park water supply main replacement. The alternatives are to not award the tender or to award the tender to one of the 4 bidders. The tender was advertised on Merck's with the Construction Association of Rural Manitoba, with the Winnipeg Construction Association. Local contractors were contacted. The tender opening was Friday, April 24th, 2020. Sustainability factors were evaluated. The tender consisted of the following work: approximately 460 meters of 500 millimeter diameter PVC water main, connections to existing water mains, 1 hydrant assembly, and restoration work. Tender is the second phase of a 2-phase project to replace the existing line which services McMillan Industrial Park and has had several breaks in recent years and is in poor condition. First phase, which involved installing a new water main for residential customers, was completed in 2019. Phase 2 will involve the replacement of the existing 450 millimeter cast iron line that runs from 6th Avenue East to Scott Street along Oak and Cedar Bay, with new 500 millimeter PVC line that will run along Poplar Bay and City of Portage la Prairie owned green space. This water main provides important redundancy to McMillan Industrial Park. Interruptions in service due to breaks in the line and reduced pressure and capacity to local industries. Repairs to the existing water main can be difficult and expensive in this location due to the pipe being located through a housing complex. It's expected that additional expensive repairs will be needed soon if this water main is not replaced. Construction of the work included in this tender is scheduled to start June 15th, 2020 and be completed by August 17th, 2020. Funds for this project were allocated from the utility reserve in the amount of $1 million. The total cost of the project, including the tendered amount from the highest rated bidder plus contract administration and a 5% contingency, is $1,208,825, not including GST. This puts the project $208,825 over budget. And I should mention here that because of other tenders coming in under budget, there is sufficient funds in the utility to cover this overage. The increase is mainly due to unforeseen difficulties with the installation. The additional $208,825 could come from utility infrastructure reserve. Based on competitive bids received, it's expected the costs would increase if the project is delayed until 2021. The recommendation is, and I so move, that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie award the tender for the Industrial Park Water Supply Main Replacement as specified in tender 20 OPS 012 to the highest rated bidder, Fenset Construction Company Limited, with the tendered price of $1,172,325, including taxes.
Moved by Councillor Wall and seconded by Councillor Draycott. Any questions or comments on the motion? Councillor Draycott?
Thank you, Worship. I guess I would have a question in regards to this company. I'm not familiar with this company. I can't recall a time that the company came up in any of our previous bids. Have we ever done work with Fenset, or do they come highly recommended?
I'm not aware that we've done business with them before. They scored 98 points out of 100. The next nearest bidder was at 87.6 points, so they scored very well. There, of course, would be bid bonds on this project, so everything will be covered by a bonding company as well.
Any other questions on the motion? All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried. Our final item of new business this evening is the award of the tender for the 2020 pavement program, and this is Transportation Committee. Councillor Espy, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. As you mentioned, it is toward the issue is to award the tender for the 2020 pavement program. And the tender for the 2020 pavement contract was advertised in the Construction Association of Rural Manitoba, Winnipeg Construction Association, Merck's, and City webpage. Due to COVID-19, tenders were distributed digitally to 9 contractors. The tender closed on May the 12th, 2020. This tender has followed the new procurement process that incorporates sustainability factors. Ratings were based on total possible 100 points awarded, with 10 points for sustainability factors and 90 points for pricing. The evaluation does not consider factors such as experience, qualifications, ability to perform work, nor past performance. Eaton Construction's schedule anticipates a start date of June the 1st, 2020. However, it will take some time after the award to obtain the performance bond and finalize the contract. And there is a table that outlines the companies that were in the top 4 with their price and with the scoring, Eaton Construction Limited being the lowest price and scoring 100 points out of a possible 100 points. The 2020 pavement contract includes the following work: And there are 9 items here, which I invite council to peruse if they have not already, but I will not read every single one of them. The overlay program, the 2020 overlay program budget is $586,000 with an additional $185,000 from the Southeast Development and $75,000 from the Broad Street Landing curb and sidewalk budget. Thus a total budget of $846,000 to complete the project. With the contract tender prices coming in lower than pre-tender estimates, the remaining budget will be used to construct a maintenance access road to the newly constructed Southeast Development lift station. It is the administrative recommendation that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie award the 2020 pavement contract as specified in Tender 20 OPS 015 to Messington Construction Limited for the price of $765,132.38, including taxes. And I so move.
Moved by Councillor Espy and seconded by Councillor Meyer. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried. That concludes our new business this evening. We have no old business. So council is adjourned at 6:40 p.m. and we'll move right into committee. Call committee to order at 6:41 p.m. First up is Finance Legislative Committee. Councillor Buds, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Your committee has nothing to report for this committee session.
Thank you, Councillor Buds. City Planning and Economic Development, Councillor Meyer.
Thank you, Your Worship. Council, for your information at next week's, or sorry, in 2 weeks, our next council meeting anyways, I will be bringing forth a motion based on a report to council in order for a proposal to subdivide the parcel of land known as lots 95, 96, 97, and 98 in the city of Portage la Prairie into 4 residential industrial lots. And these are for 2 duplexes on behalf of Meadowland Homes Limited. So as I mentioned, they're looking to subdivide. It's kind of a bit convoluted. There's 4 lots there, but they want to take and subdivide the 4 lots into 2 lots in order to be able to put up 2 duplexes on either side for a total of 4 lots. There's a sketch and a site map and a larger zoomed map out there as well for your information. I won't go through the whole thing right now, but of course the development plan, it is within the downtown corridor, and the downtown corridor, the proposed subdivision says that may be considered where in residential uses, you could use higher density residential uses that may be accommodated within the downtown corridor. But of course, they complement adjacent uses to mitigate incompatibilities subject to appropriate zoning. So what they're looking to do is to, right now, the proposed lots are zoned R1, and a zoning bylaw amendment is required to rezone the 4 2-family dwelling lots from R1 to R2 as well. So there's just a bit of information there in regards to what a 2-family dwelling subdivision is and what it does follow. So there are a number of comments from all the caveat that would be concerned. There's really no issues at this point, and the community and regional planning recommendations approval of the subdivision. So I will be bringing that forward next council meeting, unless there's any questions or further discussion right now.
Councillor Meyer, you had a question?
I do, Your Worship. Thank you. And through the worship to, of course, Canelm, our director at the planning division. The only question that I have right now, Mr. Brooks, is if I understand it correctly, based on the sketch and the site map, is that they're going to take the 4 lots, turn it into 2 lots, and have 1 duplex on lot 1 and 2 and 1 duplex on lot 3 and 4. Is there a possibility that they could turn those into more, how can I describe it here? Could they take it and turn it into 4? Sorry, let me just back up the bus. On the proposed division or subdivision map, it basically states that there's 4 two-family dwellings. And I was wondering if you could just clarify that for me, as it's not really 4 two-family dwellings. Is that making sense? Sorry there, Mr. Brooks.
Yes, and Jocelyn should be answering this question, but I'll take a stab at it. There's 4 lots there. There's going to be 2 duplexes on those 4 lots. So there'll be 4 residences there, 2 duplexes.
Is there a possibility that under
The report, I thought, the report says construct 2 duplexes, 2 two-family dwellings with 1 dwelling unit on each of the 4 lots. So there's going to be 2 duplexes. Like you said the first time, Councilor Meyer was correct. There will be lots 1 and 2 will have a duplex on it. Lots 3 and 4 will have a duplex on it.
If it's rezoned to R2, is there a possibility that those duplexes could actually become 4plexes, or would they have to be rezoned again?
3 multifamily dwelling in a R2 zone is a conditional use, so they would have to apply for a conditional use if they want to make them into anything more than a 2-family. They can put 2-family on there, and they can put single family on there, but they cannot put 2-family. Single family and 2-family is allowed in an R2 zone, and a multifamily, anything more than 2 would be a conditional use.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Brooks. And that's it, Your Worship.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Meyer. Community Services Committee, Councilor Draycott, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. I don't have anything on the docket this evening, but I did want to invite Ms. Espy from PCRC to give us an update if she had any updates as to the goings-on of the PCRC right now.
Thank you. Good evening, Council. I just wanted to give Council a quick update that PCRC, in partnership with Rest of It Incorporated, will be opening a temporary shelter on June the 9th. So the positions are posted right now, and we do have some staff set to go. So June 9th is our tentative opening date. Thank you.
Wonderful. That's very exciting news. And as well, it's been a little while since we've talked to our youth counselor. Wondering, I'm not sure if there's any updates you can give us, but wondering if there's anything that you would like to discuss with us as well this evening.
Thank you. I have nothing to report as the projects have been on hold because of COVID, but I have been brainstorming ideas for projects that I could safely carry out during this pandemic. And if council had any ideas for programming for youth, I am taking suggestions. Thank you.
Perfect. And that would be all I have if there are no questions for either Ms. Espy or Ms. Davidson.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Draycott. Waterworks Committee, Councilor Wall, please.
Waterworks Committee has nothing to report in committee this evening, Your Worship.
Thank you. And Transportation Committee, Councilor Espy.
Thank you, Your Worship. The Transportation Committee has nothing to report.
Okay. And Councilor Knox, Public Safety Committee.
Thank you, Your Worship. Nothing in public safety tonight.
Committee is adjourned at 6:48 p.m. Thank you, everybody.
Good night, all.